I missed the button today. Sorry about that. I don't. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing this. It just seems to be something that happens to keep me on my toes. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good day. Please let me know where you are tuning in from. And of course, during the podcast, if you have some comments, uh, feedback, let me know in the chat. And I may not be able to back to you. Oops. I may not be able to get back to you like during the podcast, but I can respond. I can respond later. All right. Here we go. Well, if this is your first time tuning into this channel, my name is Karen Smith Frazier, and I am a personal growth strategist and life coach. And I help strong, capable men and women move beyond fear, guilt, and self-doubt so they can confidently make the decisions that lead to meaningful change. A simple way for describing what I do is this. I believe we are all capable of far more than we realize. I believe we really can live a life that we love living. And so often we settle for what we have now, settle for our circumstances. And I don't want you to do that. So anyway, today's topic is about the power of questions and how we often give away that power that we don't have to give away. I've been wrestling with some questions, usually in the middle of the night. It's like a recurring dream that has no ending. And the questions that flow through my mind are those that rely on other people's will to take action. So I can't really answer the question because it's not my question to answer. But I don't know. I'm working on it. I hope to get a good night's sleep tonight after this podcast. So needless to say, I get up feeling like I had a battle with the obvious. But I keep wrestling with those questions. Now, the other day, while shopping in the grocery store, I got in line to check out. And the person at the cash register asked me if I had my own bag. I said, "Oh, yeah, I do." And I put my bag on the counter. I asked how they were doing, and they responded they were good, or something like that. They rang up the groceries, I paid, and then they started ringing up the next customer and bagging the next customer's groceries. Mine were on the counter, sitting next to my grocery bag. I will admit that I did feel some kind of way. What's happening here? As I started bagging my groceries, not like a pro, the cashier gave me a "can you hurry up" look, as they needed more space for the groceries of the person behind me. By this time, I was getting a bit heated. I could feel my body getting irritated, and then I asked, "So, do I need a special code or something to get my groceries bagged?" They said no and kept bagging the other person's groceries. I then said, "Okay, have a nice day." And then I left. Now, my question was a bit passive aggressive, I'll admit it. It was all I could come up with in the moment. But in a way, it was a dishonest question. I knew there was no secret code. I just didn't know why they were not bagging my groceries. And by not asking the direct question, like, "Are you going to bag my groceries?" or why are you not bagging my groceries? I could have done that. Then I could have gotten a direct answer instead of asking an essentially unanswerable question. And it had an intention of letting her know that I felt like I wasn't getting fair service. So I did some deep breaths on my walk home, realizing that was probably not the best question I could have asked. I was angry. And I felt like I was being treated differently for just showing up as me. But in reality, I only have ideas that my imagination created. I really have no idea because I didn't ask. I don't know what kind of day she was having or whatever, but I sure was not ready to engage. Robin Weinig, PhD, shared a concept in her short blurb on LinkedIn about how questions can be like doors and walls. And I definitely set up the wall for that. My question was a wall question. Essentially, she categorizes questions as either opening a dialogue, like opening a door, or shutting them down, like walls. Door questions are those that invite reflection, explanation, and connection. I would dare to say that they often involve some kind of preparation. I'm in a class where we're always asked at the end to ask some questions. And I know if I am not prepared, I have nothing to say. It's just such a great opportunity to learn. The questions are often involve these door questions often involve curiosity and openness, like the questions my granddaughter asks. Blunt, curious, exploratory. She really wants to know. She's very curious. Examples may be something like, can you help me understand your thought process? Or in my case, at the grocery store, can you help me understand why you did not bag my groceries today? Of course, I wouldn't say it like that. I'd say it a little bit nicer. Now, I'm really curious, but on that day, emotions won. Asking non-judgmental questions, not assuming the worst intent, can give a sense of safety and encourage learning on both sides, the questioner and the one answering. And these are door questions. They give space for conversation. Now, wall questions, on the other hand, put the listener on the defensive. They seem critical and accusatory. The tone can be more rigid and sound angry. Before the whole sentence or question gets out, the one who has to answer may feel like they need to protect themselves. I know she ain't talking to me like that or accusing me of that. Examples could be questions that judge another person's choices. What made you wear that? What were you thinking? The effect is broad. It can trigger resistance, essentially shuts down honesty and puts folks in the defensive mode, not listening and not able to learn. These are not the most productive conversations. So the core differences in our everyday questions and talking is, for the open doors, the good questions, the goal is to understand or connect. And for those brick wall questions, the goal is to judge, blame, or get a quick task done. For those good questions, the response is often detailed, honest, and creative. And for those brick wall questions, one-word answers, defensive or silent. And the tone for the good questions, the open door questions, again, curious, neutral. And for the brick wall questions, they seem to be more accusatory, loaded, or just lazy. Now, there are three ways to explain the difference. And I think I kind of like these. They may come in handy for you. So one is the mirror trick. The mirror trick shows how a bad question focuses on the asker's assumptions, while a good question mirrors the other person's reality. So, in other words, you're asking a question with the other person in mind. Like, I didn't think that maybe this lady was working all day. She could have had a sick child at home or anything. I could not think about that. I wasn't thinking about her reality. I was thinking about my reality in the moment. Then there's the yes/no test. Explain that any everyday question that can be answered with a simple yes or no usually kills the momentum of a casual chat. So a lot of times, if we really want to know an answer to a question, we can ask more detailed questions instead of a yes, no, because it's very limited. Okay. And then there's the why trap. Teach people that starting an everyday question with why often sounds like an interrogation, whereas starting with what or how feels collaborative. I know that when I'm upset, that why did you do that? Or even if I'm upset with myself, I ask more why questions instead of how could I have done something differently? So, yeah. Okay. So, in real life scenarios, like at home, we can change things like instead of how was your day, which most likely somebody's going to say, fine, we can ask, what was the best part of your day? With friends, and just trying to fix judgment so we're not judgy, we can change the loaded question, why did you buy that expensive car, to what features made you decide on that specific car? It just breaks down those walls so that we're not ready to um, ready to have an emotional response. And this often happens when we're trying something new and people don't understand where you're coming from. And they don't ask curious questions, they ask more judgy questions. Why would you spend money on that? Why would you invest in that? And so it's really important to open up those doors and those questions. And finally, like at work, you can change, those vague requests, like change the broad, do you understand the project, to what parts of the project timeline are giving you some trouble or seem a little gray. And then that opens up a conversation. It's not like you're not getting your work done. What's your problem? It's, what can I do to help? Okay, well, that's it for today. I mean, the thing is, we have so much potential to use our power with our questions, and so often we don't. We give it away and we let emotion take over. And so I really encourage you to maybe, take a deep breath before you ask a question or respond to a question. I know in my situation, I know I was emotional. And I thought of some other things I could say, but I wouldn't say. And that was all I could come up with, was that smart alecky question that I had for that lady. But I'm going to have to go in that grocery store again, and I'll probably run into her again. So I'm hoping that she's having a good day. I did really wish that she had a good day. But anyway, that's it for today. I just want to remind you that I'm going to be having a masterclass coming up this week on Wednesday. There's one at 9 a.m. Pacific and one at noon Pacific. And it is called 3 Strategies to Put Yourself First Without the Guilt and Kickstart Your Action Plan. And it really is for folks who are just tired of playing it small, to keep other people comfortable. And a lot of folks are entering seasons of transition, and they know that they're being called to something, but they're not sure where to start. So I'm hoping to have you join the masterclass, and I can kind of support you in this leg of your journey. All right. Well, I hope you have a good week, and as always, I encourage you to unleash your brilliance, uncover your light. The world is waiting for you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks. I hope you have a nice day.